What if you were born cursed? What if your very existence felt like a mistake? Oz Vessalius, the golden-haired heir of the Vessalius dukedom, smiles like a prince, but beneath that gentle exterior is a soul unraveling. In Pandora Hearts, Oz isn't just battling chains and conspiracies, he's wrestling with something far more human, the unbearable fear of being unwanted. Oz begins his journey as the model noble child, charming, intelligent, and eager to please. But from the start, his life feels hollow. He's adored by servants, feared by Gilbert, and loved by his sister Ada, yet his father offers only contempt. Oz Vessalius treated him like a mistake. Cold, distant, and cruel, he never acknowledged Oz as his son. Why was I even born? This question haunts Oz, long before he ever falls into the abyss. He doesn't know why his father despises him, but he feels it deeply. He tried to earn his love, tried to smile brighter, be a good boy, but the more Oz reached out, the more he was ignored or punished. This trauma leads Oz to a dangerous coping mechanism. He begins to erase himself emotionally, believing that his pain doesn't matter as long as others are happy. He carries the pain silently, convincing himself that if he smiles enough, maybe, he'll be worth something. This is classic trauma masking, the kind of false strength built not from confidence, but from survival. Oz becomes someone who laughs not because he's happy, but because he's afraid of being hated. Wearing a smile like armor, he plays the role of the carefree heir. But this perfect doll persona is a defense mechanism, crafted to win love and avoid rejection. In truth, Oz lives in emotional exile. His relationship with Gilbert and Ada are his few genuine connections, but even these feel fragile to him, as if one wrong move will make them disappear too. His greatest fear isn't death, it's abandonment. Oz Vessalius' deepest fear, that his existence is meaningless, is realized during his coming-of-age ceremony, where, without warning, he is dragged into the abyss, a place literally called nowhere. Not for a crime, not for a mistake, but simply because he exists. This moment isn't just traumatic, it confirms everything Oz feared. His life has no value. He was never wanted, not by his family, not by the world. He is inherently wrong, broken. And so begins his descent into existential dread. For Oz, existence itself is his crime. But what makes this tragedy so profound is that Oz accepts it. He doesn't fight his punishment because, on some level, he believes he deserves it. What makes Oz's crisis so harrowing is that it mirrors a very human experience, the primal need to be wanted, seen, loved. And when that need is met with rejection, from family, society, or fate, the question arises: if no one wants me, why am I here? The abyss reflects his inner world, chaotic, unstable, and full of monstrous manifestations of guilt and fear. Inside the abyss, time distorts, identity crumbles, and reality loses meaning. Oz is forced to confront his lack of worth, not just socially, but cosmically. The question shifts from, why does no one love me, to, should I even exist at all? This fear of erasure is a common existential theme, seen in the works of Sartre, Camus, and Kafka. But Pandora Hearts visualizes it as a nightmare made real. And yet, even in the abyss, something, or someone, reaches for him. Enter Alice, the chain known as B-Rabbit, feral, angry, and just as broken as Oz. Oz's story is paralleled in Alice, who can't remember her past and wonders if she even has a right to live. Both grapple with questions of identity. Who am I? Why do I hurt so much? Why am I hated? She too feels like she doesn't belong. Their bond begins as a contract of necessity, but slowly, it becomes something more, a mirror of pain and healing. In each other, they see the raw vulnerability they hide from the world. They don't save each other, they survive together. Oz returns to the world changed, physically the same, but mentally shattered. Time has passed, and the people he knew have aged without him. His identity as a noble is gone. He's now a contractor with Pandora, a pawn in political and supernatural games. And yet, he still tries to smile. Because Oz believes he must earn love. He must prove he deserves to exist. We see this in how he throws himself into danger, how he forgives cruel people, how he prioritizes others' pain above his own. But these aren't acts of pure heroism, they're cries for validation. Even his bond with Gilbert reveals this. Oz fears that Gilbert's loyalty is conditional, that if Oz changes, or becomes a burden, he'll lose him too. His self-worth is built on a crumbling foundation. If I'm useful, they won't throw me away. This isn't confidence, it's desperation. Even when Oz escapes, he can never truly leave. The chains of the abyss cling to him, just as his self-doubt does. Gil and Alice serve as opposing forces in Oz's struggle. Gil, who devoted his life to atoning for failing Oz, represents unconditional love, but also Oz's guilt. Every time Gilbert sacrifices for him, Oz feels the weight of being unworthy. Alice, on the other hand, refuses to let Oz wallow. She calls him an idiot for believing he's unwanted, not out of pity, but because she sees his value when he can't. Their dynamic is raw, messy, and deeply human. Alice doesn't offer empty reassurance, she forces Oz to confront his own worth. Yet even with them, Oz struggles. He pushes Gilbert away, fearing he'll burden him. He jokes about dying, testing if Alice will abandon him. It's a self-sabotaging cycle, one that reveals how deeply his trauma runs. But the most dangerous mirror of all is Jack Vessalius. Jack, who was once hailed a hero, also battled feelings of being unwanted. But unlike Oz, Jack chose to rewrite history, to control fate itself, to make himself indispensable. Jack's path reveals the dark side of Oz's fears, that the need to be wanted can become twisted, narcissistic, and destructive. As Pandora Hearts progresses, the truth of Oz's identity is revealed, and it shatters everything. Oz isn't just a noble boy, he's not even human in the conventional sense. He is a chain, a being from the abyss, a creation, a shadow of something that once was. This revelation drives the existential nail deeper. I'm not even real. Was my life a lie? Am I just a tool, a puppet for others' agendas? But instead of despair, Oz does something radical. He reclaims his identity. He chooses to define himself not by his origins, but by his actions, by the people he loves, the promises he makes, and the life he chooses to lead. Throughout Pandora Hearts, Oz slowly begins to redefine his sense of self, not as someone who exists to be wanted, but as someone who exists because he chooses to. He stops asking, "Am I loved?" and starts asking, "What do I want?" His bonds with Alice, Gilbert, and even Break become more than lifelines, they become partnerships. He stops being a doll and becomes a person, flaws and all. Oz learns to embrace not just his light, but his darkness, the guilt, the pain, and the fear of being unwanted. Because even those parts are his. It's not about proving you deserve love. It's about loving yourself in spite of the absence. This is the heart of Oz's arc, not overcoming monsters or villains, but overcoming the fear that he's unworthy of love. Oz Vessalius's journey is not one of grand heroism, it's the quiet, painful fight to affirm his right to exist. Pandora Hearts gives us a story where the greatest enemy isn't death, or war, or darkness, it's the internal voice that whispers, "You're not enough." But Oz answers that voice with radical compassion. He learns that being unwanted by the world doesn't make you unworthy, that you can be broken, abandoned, uncertain, and still be real, still be loved. In the end, Oz doesn't just exist, he chooses to exist. And in doing so, he reminds all of us, you are enough, even when the world tells you otherwise. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Pandora Hearts and Oz's psychological arc, consider liking and subscribing for more anime and manga analysis. Drop a comment below, when was the moment Oz felt most human to you?